Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me this morning. This is episode 22 of the Sell More Printing webinar. This webinar is aimed at helping you grow your print business using today's best marketing tactics. I'm Rachel Neese, and I am the marketing director here at Marketing Ideas for Printers. And first off, I just want to welcome all of our newcomers coming over from the Coronavirus Resources for Printers webinar series. We kind of wrapped up the general version of that one, and so invited them all to come join us over here, and I'm glad that you have done that to learn about ways that you can sell more printing. Before I get started with today's topic, I do want to draw your attention to our resources section on our website, especially for all of you first-timers here. So on our website, if you look under the marketing tab there and go down to resources, you'll see our resources page, and you'll find the complete lineup of all of the previous webinar episodes for this series there. So you can go back and peek through there. There's just a whole bunch of knowledge wealth there that you can glean from. Then you also see blogs kind of by category like SEO, websites, email, general leadership, some of our top picks for those. And then down at the bottom, you'll also see a downloadable resources section. So these are PDFs that you can use however you would like. If you just want to use them to help with your own knowledge, or you want to use them as, pop-ups on your own websites, they're there for you. You use them how you want. That is my intention with that. So check that out when you get a chance, and I bet you'll find a lot of help there. For today, we're going to look at facing the giants, how to compete with those big box competitors. We're going to unpack just some practical tips on how you can compete with those print industry giants, those Sales and Walmarts of the printing industry. So in the interest of tact, I'm not going to name any names of specific big box competitors. You know who they are, I know who they are, so it's not necessarily worth the risk of spouting off names, right? But I'm talking about those large print companies that focus on online-only sales that are really direct to consumer. These are the players that really have, they really have the ability to like slash their prices and just leave you feeling like you're never going to be able to compete. This is a common pain point that I hear from our printers, from our clients. So it seemed like the right time to address it, especially in the midst of, many print businesses struggling to really find their feet again after everything with the COVID crisis, and even still in the middle of the COVID crisis here. So let's take a look. The first thing that I want you to keep in mind in all of this, right, is perspective. It's important to remember here that the dollar amount playing field here really is not equal. So for example, from a recent NPOA marketing survey, they noted that they just named one of those big box printing companies spent 27% of their sales on marketing, while our industry spent less than 1%. So obviously that's going to make somewhat of a difference, right, on the amount of response they're getting, the effectiveness, some of that type of thing. So I really want you to keep this in perspective. What my intention is, or my goal is, I understand why you're spending 1%. Would I like it if it was more up in 5%? You bet. But what my goal is that you would be able to get the maximum return on investment for even that 1%. What are some things you can do that don't need to cost a lot of money, but that will really impact your efforts and help you compete with those print giants. So if these print giants are spending all of this money, 27%, right? How are you going to compete in a way that you can afford? So that's what we're going to look at today. Some of the things that you can offer that they can't, and how you can offer them to your advantage. So I've got 7 ways that you can really stand your ground amongst the competition. The first one is this: focus on your niche or niche market, however you say that, whatever part of the country you're in. In the last webinar, we talked about finding your ideal customer. So, creating and figuring out who your buyer persona is. If you want more details on that, be sure to go back and check out that episode. But the main thing that I want to point out here is your print business focused on B2B or business to business, or B2C, business to consumer? Recently I was doing some research for another project here at Marketing Ideas for Printers, and I had a whole call sheet, and I just reached out to several printers just to kind of pick their brain about an idea and to have them answer some questions for me. And one of the questions I asked was, is your print business primarily B2B or B2C? And the majority of them, almost all of them, said B2B. Well, right away, that's a huge difference between the big box online competitors and what they're doing. They have a different market. So if B2B is your bread and butter, it makes sense that you're going to focus most of your marketing, most of your sales efforts there. B2B is a different animal than B2C. With B2B, you're going to want to take that time to connect with the buyer. You're going to meet more personally, probably with an account representative, that type of a thing. You want to take the time to set them up with things like their own reorder library or a private label website, and then train them how to best connect with you and order from you. It's going to take a completely different, or at least somewhat different, marketing approach than marketing to B2C. For example, when you see these online competitors with their Facebook ads or their banner ads or things like that, well, they're targeting consumers more so than they're targeting business to business. So keep in mind, I am not saying to completely ignore meeting the needs of your B2C customers. I just want to simply point out that in your marketing efforts, you're going to want to choose where you'll be the most effective. If you don't want to do short run jobs with consumers, then don't spend your time there. Spend your time on the longer run jobs with less customer accounts. Next, number 2 is to get personal. Unlike the big box printers, you have the ability to be both a printing expert and offer a personal touch. With these big online printers, print buyers often feel like they're at the DMV. They're just another number. Where you can get personal, you can talk about what their marketing goals are. You can go through their next big project with them, over a cup of coffee. You have that ability to have that one-on-one personal connection. The easiest way to do this is to, offer that efficiency of online ordering, similar to what these big box printers do, but with that added personal touch. A lot of this really comes down to great customer service. Because you're a small business owner, you have the ability to create and develop those deeper, the stronger, more personal relationships with your print buyers. And those types of things have just as much value, if not more, than any product or service that you offer. So keep that in mind. Here's a quick example. For most of my adult life, I have lived in the country, and I have visited a small town clinic about 60 to 90 minutes away from where I live. Now, the large big city clinic is only about 30 minutes away from me. But my primary doctor at the small town clinic, he knows my name. He knows my kids' names. He knows every medical issue I've ever struggled with. And he's given me his personal cell phone number, and I've been able to text him about issues, even when I can't get up there to drive up there to see him. And it's because of this connection and the stellar service that I get there that it's absolutely worth it to me to go through a little bit of an inconvenience of more time and of more gas or more money to drive up and see him. So remember this, customers appreciate and pursue relationships and experiences. They're not just after the end results, and they're not just after the lower prices. This is what you can excel at, really excel at over the other guys. If you provide the relationship that they can't get elsewhere, they're going to come to you first, even if it costs them a little extra, inconvenience or money or time, that kind of thing. Moving on, number 3 is connect with your audience. Another way that you can compete with big box printers is offering a closer connection to your target audience. This is similar to number 2, but a little bit different, so bear with me here. So consumers and print buyers alike, they like it when businesses engage with them, such as on social media, on email, etc. But it's even more meaningful when you, as the print owner, you're the one writing the blog posts or responding to reviews and emails, writing messages and direct mail pieces, or commenting on those social media posts. Now, I know as I just said that last statement, you're thinking, Rachel, where am I going to find time for that? There's no way I can do all that. Well, hear me out. This doesn't mean that you have to do all of those things yourself, obviously, because you're busy. I get it. But I would encourage you to attach a name to those things to bring in some personalization. For example, you've probably noticed if you're on our mailing list or get our emails or our blogs, that all of our blogs go out from Dave at Marketing Ideas for Printers. Well, I mean, here's a not so secret, but Dave does not have to write all of those blogs. He has a team, a content team helping and creating the content with him, but he is the face of the content. Okay, it comes from his name, not just a generic company name. And since it does come with Dave's name attached, it creates a closer, better connection with our audience, between our audience and with Dave. They get more of that personal connection, even though he has a team. This is an instance where you need to stop looking at your smallness as a disadvantage and instead view it as your greatest asset. Very, very rarely, I can't think of a time I've ever seen it. Do you see, Bob at Big Box Printer? It's always just, bigboxprinter.com is where it's coming from. It has more of that impersonalization, where you have the ability to put your name on things, put your name in the Owner Speaks and your picture in the Owner Speaks section of your direct mail stuff, and have your emails come from you so that they can create that connection with you. Another advantage with this is you get to engage your audience directly. For example, even though Dave's name is on that, it's attached to Dave's email address. So when you respond with your comments about new needs or services or things that you need, we get those. It goes right back to Dave, and he can respond and add that personal touch. So it allows you to meet the needs much faster than one of those big businesses ever could. Number 4 is to offer your knowledge. If I were to go online right now to one of those big box printers and order printing, I'd only get one thing: printing. But I know that if instead I went to order printing from one of you, I'd not only get better quality printing, I'd also get your knowledge and expertise on how to use that printing to better tell my story. You have content and resources and those types of things on your website where I can glean information. You're easy to contact. I'm not just a number. That's a huge benefit to me as a print buyer. So you can capitalize that by letting your print audience know that. This is one of the reasons we order all of our printing from the clients we serve, from you guys, and not from big box printers. We like that experience, and obviously we want to support you guys. So anyway, keep that in mind, that you have knowledge as a real asset that you can share. Number 5 is to bend the curve. As a print buyer, if I am, what if I'm in a real jam, even from my own stupidity or procrastination, and I need help fast? Well, this is where you guys can step in. And I've seen firsthand how many of you will go out of your way to help a print buyer who's struggling or who's in a jam or needs things fast. You'll work odd hours, you'll do whatever it takes, where if I were to do that with a big box printer, they'll just keep churning those jobs through the system, following a real impersonal process. That's not what I want. So in your sales and marketing messages, it's important to let people know this idea that you'll kind of break your own rules to help others out who are in need. Nobody shows up at the DMV at 4:29 p.m. if you know they're closing at 4:30, because you know that they're not going to break their own rules and stick it out and help you, right? But if periodically you have the ability to do that, where the guy comes in at 4:25 and you close at 4:30 and he has a copy job that you can do in 20 minutes, and you stick around and you do it, those are the things that are really going to impact and boost that personal relationship and help your business. You have that ability to be scrappy, to kind of pivot real easily when the needs arise. And so I would really encourage you to remember that and take advantage of it when you can. You can think of it as, big business is like an ocean liner, big ship, tiny little rudder, doesn't turn very easy, where you're more like a speedboat, right? You can zoom circles around them. You can switch directions quickly and even come back real quickly. So use that to your advantage and keep that in mind. Number 6 is to make an impact. This one is kind of quick, but I wanted to just be sure to mention it here. As a small business, you can impact your customers and your employees' lives in a way that a large business may not be able to do so. So you can impact your community. You can do things like sponsor local events or donate to those in need. You can serve with others. And you get the advantage of doing all those things face to face with your buyers and creating, unforgettable connections and relationships with this. It'll also help you just explode those word of mouth referrals in this way. And that's really an incredible blessing to be able to do that. So be sure to take advantage of that as well. Again, I live in a small town out in the country. We have a tiny little Dairy Queen, one of 2 restaurants in our town. And they happen to go to our church. All 3 of my kids have worked at that Dairy Queen, right? And they sponsor things. They send ice cream for our VBS programs at our church and that kind of thing. So we know them. There's a face to the business. And those are the things that you can do to really make an impact on your buyers. Last one here, number 7, is make it easy. That's the best thing you can do, is really make it easy. Buyers are getting busier. I almost would dare to say that we're all getting a little lazier. We want things quick, we want things easy. And this means that in order for you to compete, you're going to need to kind of anticipate their needs and make things as smooth as possible for them. So I'm just going to give you a few things, practical things that you can do to make it easier for your print buyers, and hopefully ultimately then resulting in more sales for you. The first one is this: website shortcuts. So create shortcuts to the common products that your print buyers are buying. You can add these as, call out boxes on your homepage or things like custom sliders. I would suggest that you enlist the help of a friend or a family member, and then have them try to order some of your top products and have them order it in different ways. So for instance, you might say, hey, Uncle Bob, could you do me a favor? Can you pop onto my website, and I want you to order a brochure, but you already have the file. You just want to send me the file and order your printing. Well, see what Uncle Bob does. Where does he get hung up? Where is he searching around to try and find that? Well, where do I send you my file? How do I place my order? That kind of thing. And if he's struggling, well, put a send a file call out box if that's where he's looking for it. And then do the same thing. Let's say you want Uncle Bob to order a business card, but you want him to design it. So if he comes to your website, see where he goes. Where is he going to go to try and design that business card? Or Where's he going to go if he wants to find out more information about the effectiveness of business cards or information that way? Just kind of see what path he's following and where the speed bumps are, and then accommodate by putting shortcuts in different places and things to make it easier for them to find what they're looking for. The next one here is your pricing. Put pricing on your website. There really are some great e-commerce features that work on your website. For instance, I'm thinking of like the pricing bar where you can see the instant pricing. But those things really only work if you actually have pricing set up on your website. I talked with a printer just the other day looking to get e-commerce set up on his, or just getting started with e-commerce, and he was just adamant about this. You know, online shoppers expect to get prices, and I just have to put my prices online. And same thing, if you want to be able to give the print buyer the experience where it's somewhat of a comparison between these big box stores and yours, they're looking for that pricing. They're looking to know how much it costs. So keep that in mind. Next one here is CTA direction. That stands for call to action direction. So everything, and I mean literally everything, should include or list a next step. So I'm talking like your marketing, your social media, email, every single website page. What is my next step as your visitor or as your buyer? It's important to understand that your business is the traffic director of my interactions with you. So what plan, what route, what direction, where do you want me to go next as your buyer? And then when you know that, try to cut out all of the necessary stops in between. I love my husband, but he hates tech. He just hates it. He's outside all the time, you know, he's just kind of a free spirit that way. And so if he comes on and he's on a website and he's like, can't believe I have to click 4 times to get here, it just frustrates him. He wants to give up. So look at those types of things. How do I create a direction and a path for them, and then eliminate any of the unnecessary steps to get them there faster so they don't bail out? Next one, online accounts. Get your print buyers on their own online accounts, no excuses. So when they come to you with an order, let's say they send you an email or they call and want to place an order and they don't have an account, set one up for them. You know, let them know, hey, I set this up for you so you have easy access to your history and for reordering, and here's how you get started, okay? Then when they come back a couple weeks later or whatever to place their next printing order and they do the exact same thing and they email you or they call you, you get on the phone and you call them back and you say, yep, I've got your order put in. I want you to know that it's put into your online account. Here's how you access it. You can see your previous orders here. This is what you would do to simply do a quick reorder, and kind of take that time to train and walk them through that, so they know exactly what they're doing. Same thing here with private label websites. When you see a candidate for a private label website, reach out right away with something like, hey, you know, your business would really benefit by having this ordering superhighway between your website and mine. So I've set it up here so that you can see what it looks like and how it would benefit you. You know, do you have a few minutes for me to walk you through it? And then by taking that initiative and creating it for them, they'll be able to see firsthand what it'll look like, how it'll benefit them, and give them much better of a chance of pursuing that than if you just send them a letter or a postcard and say, hey, we have this service. I hope you reach out to us and take advantage of it. Instead, you're taking that first step. You're taking the initiative and really getting them to pursue that. The main thing to remember here is that there is no rule that you need to wait for customers to come to you. It's so much more important that you take the initiative and guide those print buyers to place the order with you and to make that connection with you. You can reach out and do a lot of things proactively instead of, you know, waiting for them to come to you. So if you follow these 7 steps, if you take these things and implement them, I really believe that it will make a huge difference in your ability to compete with those other guys with the big online, big box printers. So that was kind of a whirlwind. I had a lot to cover there within our time. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. Our next webinar will be Wednesday, August 12th at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. I want to remind you that if you have any questions or concerns, or you have future topic requests or questions that you would like covered in a future webinar, be sure to reach out to us at 701-241-9204, or you can email me directly at rachel.neese@mi4p.com. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again next time.